Breaking news that everyone is talking about. After 38 years of silence, we're seeing some big action on Hawaii Island. And check out this brand new video just into our newsroom from Paradise Helicopters.
Yeah, this long-anticipated Mauna Loa eruption started late Sunday, disrupting flights and triggering an all-hands-on-deck emergency response from authorities. Now, the good news is right now there is no mandatory evacuations in place, but shelters have opened to accommodate those who are voluntarily evacuating. Here's the very latest. The eruption began around 11:30 p.m. Sunday in Mokua Veoveo, the summit caldera of the volcano. Lava has largely been contained to the caldera area, but has also migrated to a rift zone on the northeast side. Now, officials say no downslope communities are currently under threat. However, an ashfall advisory that was in place for Hawaii Island earlier this morning has since been canceled. And new at noon, we just talked to Civil Air Patrol's John Bassett about a flyover he did just hours ago.
Well, I mean, I'm a pilot for the Civil Air Patrol, and we do emergency services. And so we got a call early this morning from Hawaii Emergency Management, and they wanted to get somebody from USGS up to look at it. And at that point, my phone rings, and can I come down to the airport and take this airplane we keep here in Hilo to take them up? And at that point, like I say, I'm responsible for flight service. We just before dawn, you could see a glow from Mauna Loa, and we just took off from the Hilo airport at sunrise and headed directly to the summit of Mauna Loa. And then at that point, I flew back and forth so that the USGS person could take pictures of the lava flow that's currently near the summit, but in the northeast rift zone.
How big was that flow?
It's the sort of thing where I'm just supposed to be the pilot and they're supposed to provide all that kind of information, but just casually, I mean, it's come down, like a couple of miles, and it's fairly narrow, but it's very slow moving at this point. But there's a flow coming out of the summit caldera in the direction of Hilo, but at this point, I don't think it's threatening anything.
Yeah, no one being threatened at this time, no evacuations ordered like this. But I know if you have experience doing this and you've flown over the area before, you must see the scars of past flows. Go ahead and describe the scenery that you see when you fly over the summit area.
I mean, so this is just, new, small, red rivulets on the large existing flows that were there. So this seems at the present time smaller than clearly historical things that have been there. It's all, fairly barren lava up there. We were at 12 to 13,000 feet where we were looking at this. And it just, it's just an amazing thing. There was fountaining as well along the fissure.
This is the type of lava that sort of can sometimes appear to move quickly. Was it moving quickly that you felt?
I mean, you could see movement on the surface. The leading edge of the flow was, we were up there for almost 3 hours, and you could clearly see that it moved forward, like at least half a mile during that time.
Oh, what were the air conditions like when you were, sorry about that. What were the air conditions like when you were up there?
It's blowing about 25 knots out of the south up there around 14,000 feet. And so we in particular had to be careful to stay upwind so we weren't breathing sulfur dioxide out of the lava. And then a couple times when I swung in a little bit closer, we got bumped by thermals out of it. Basically, though, I was staying upwind and away from being directly over the lava. And so we just had some general mountain turbulence from the high winds on Mauna Loa.
Very interesting perspective from Civil Air Patrols there. All right, we have a reporter on the ground right now at the base of the summit. Let's turn it over to Eddie Dowd with what's he seeing. What you got, Eddie?
Hey, Jonathan. Yes, as you can see, Mauna Loa is behind us, and you may not see the lava right now, as we've been reporting that the lava flow has taken a northeast rift shift. So it's no longer appearing to affect those communities that we reported to earlier, like Ocean View, but still precautions are being taken. Take a look. Hawaii police are blocking the road to Mauna Loa. They are just making sure, as a precaution, in case there are, a serious eruption in this area, that no one is in harm's way. So that road is still being blocked off at the moment. But still, people, like we said, are taking caution. We talked to several people who evacuated Ocean View voluntarily and went to the shelter in Kona. Now, when we went, no one actually went into the shelter at the moment, but they were sort of waiting outside in the parking lot. And we talked to one woman who told us, although they made the decision out of safety to leave, they're worried still about their belongings and their home that they left behind. What was your thinking when you saw that red lava going down Mauna Loa?
I was so shocked and everything, so I couldn't imagine what would do with everybody.
How long do you plan to stay here?
I'm not sure.
You're just kind of waiting it out right now?
Yes.
We are seeing some folks coming in, parking lot mostly. Nobody's really checking into the shelters yet, but that is all voluntary evacuations. There has been no mandatory evacuation ordered by the county.
All right, let's go back out live there, Eddie. How many people are you seeing going up to the base there? Are people still trying to get their eyes on that lava? I know it's hard to see in the daylight. You can't really see it, but are people trying to?
Well, as a matter of fact, Jonathan, yes, as we're doing our live shot right now, we had these folks stop and take pictures and obviously trying to soak in the action that has been reported on and a lot of people are interested about. So definitely throughout the Daniel K. Inouye highway, we've seen people pulling alongside the road, stopping with binoculars, taking pictures, trying to get a glimpse of that lava. But as you can see behind me, with the fog and the clouds and that shift in the direction of the lava, it is very hard to make it out right now, but at night we are expecting to see that glow. Jonathan, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Eddie Dowd, thank you so much for your live reporting there. One of the first reporters on the scene there on the Big Island today. Now we have even more team coverage continuing here at HNN.
Yeah, we're going to bring in our meteorologist, Guy Hoggy, here. Thank you so much for joining us on This Is Now today. First off, let's get started with the ash advisory. Tell us about the conditions there.
Well, the National Weather Service posted the ash advisory about the same time that they knew that the eruption was happening, right? But when the sun came up, it was obvious where the plume was, the thickness of the plume, and they made the call to cancel the ash advisory. And that's a very rare thing to see an ash advisory posted. I don't think even with the Kilauea eruption we saw an ash advisory. But obviously with the conditions being as they were, they decided to cancel it. However, still, there's still more fog than we've seen since the ending of Kilauea, right? Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a health issue. That's going to be a weather issue for the next several days, and who knows how long it's going to continue. Yeah. It's all contingent upon how long that eruption continues.
That leads me to my next question about the winds in the area. What do we know about how they're blowing and essentially the spread of this fog?
Well, that's going to be the issue. It's funny that it's coincidental that the winds change the same time that this eruption occurs, right? And like I said, it's all going to help make it worse for everybody in terms of air quality. What I want to show you actually right now is the timeline of the seismic activity over on Hawaii Island, and we knew that at least the scientists at the HVO said that, hey, look at this increased seismic activity. This was for weeks ago, and they predicted that it was going to be a lava eruption. And sure enough, here it is. So we're looking at 10:30 last night. They finally had a big one, and there was a swarm soon after, the biggest being about 4.2, all about between the 10:30 to 2 o'clock time frame. And then about 2 a.m. this morning, one popped up out towards the Pahala area, and that's more typical of where the earthquakes have been. Now, with regard to the winds, you can see we got Kona winds down there on the Kona side and the Hilo side. That's going to help push that fog plume up towards the rest of the state. And these winds, light as they are, 10 to 15 from the south-southeast, are going to continue through tomorrow at least. Lighter winds are coming in on Wednesday, not a trade wind until maybe Thursday. So at least in the short term, we're talking today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, we might have to be dealing with this fog and the stuff that we haven't seen for a couple of years.
any precipitation or moisture in the air, does that impact the volcano at all?
Not the volcano itself, no, but it will impact what's coming out, right? Because the fog that comes out is particulate in the air, right? So when there's moisture in the air, it helps make the particulate actually kind of washing down your driveway of dirt kind of thing, right? So that's going to help the particulate from, help it not to spread, right? So we'll see actually better air quality than we normally would if it were dry. But we're under a flood watch right now across the state. We're seeing scattered showers out there, and that will help the air quality because the fog won't travel as far as if it were dry.
And Guy, we were talking earlier, and I don't know if you saw this latest video in from Paradise Helicopters.
Yes, I saw it.
A lot of people get a little bit confused about the volcanoes and their locations. There's 2 volcanoes that are very active right now.
Yeah, well, this one is Mauna Loa, and we haven't seen activity there for 40 years. People are going, wait a minute, there was just activity out there just, a year ago, 2 years ago. But that's Kilauea. Now, Kilauea is to the north of where Mauna Loa is right now. But what's fantastic is that the lava plumes, apparently the fountains this morning, were, according to Ken Hahn from HVO, up to 100 feet high.
Wow.
150 feet high. So it was an incredible show, but that's not like there's a place where you can view that, unlike the Kilauea eruption, which is much closer to everybody.
Yeah, that's why, Eddie, we just saw in his live report, there's people going to try to see the lava, but you're not going to see it. You're going to see the glow at nighttime.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, like I said, with that rain, that'll help, if anything, the conditions for us. That'll help the air quality be better. But we also got to be heads up, tell everybody the first alert is also about the flood watch that's on statewide, at least until tonight, because there's a chance for flooding, there's a chance for thunderstorms. But to answer your earlier question, no, it will not affect the lava activity in of itself.
All right, Guy Hoggy, First Alert Weather Team expert here. Thank you so much for your insight and sticking around for the noon show today. Dylan's got an update on schools.
Yeah, some good news there on Hawaii Island. All schools on Hawaii Island remain open as Mauna Loa's eruption poses no immediate threat to residents and neighborhoods. The DOE says they are closely monitoring impacts from this eruption and will continue to keep an eye on this. Of course, if the need comes to close schools, they will announce that as soon as possible. But as of today, schools are open for both students and staff.
All right. So if you are wanting to go check out some lava, we got some advice today from Jessica Farrakane over at the National Parks. She talked to our Grace Lee a little bit earlier about just that.
A lot of people get excited about what we are seeing just behind you. Can you explain that to us, Jessica?
Yeah, good morning, Grace and everybody. Well, it has been a very exciting couple hours, and Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, which the summit of Mauna Loa is within our boundary, we have 2 eruptions happening at the same time. Kilauea is continuing to erupt at summit, and so is Mauna Loa. Hopefully your viewers can see my background. Over this shoulder, we have the Kilauea summit eruption seen this morning from Kupina'ipali. And over this shoulder, the Mauna Loa glow from Moku'aweo'weo up at the summit. So pretty exciting times. Right now, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is open, although there are some closures on Mauna Loa.
Okay, so has this happened before that you know of, where you had these 2 volcanoes erupting at the same time?
Yeah, there's been several times throughout the Mauna Loa Kilauea history where we've had simultaneous eruptions. 1984 was one of them. I believe back in 1950 we had a short dual eruption happening at the same time as well, and probably prior to that.
All right, so for anyone who may be visiting Hawaii right now or who are on Hawaii Island and they want to see this, what do they need to know?
So right now, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is open. We're keeping very close eyes on what's happening up at Mauna Loa. What is closed in the park is Mauna Loa Road, and that closure starts at the Kipukapua Ulu little walking trail there, and it goes. The road will be closed all the way up to the 6,000-foot level, so no vehicle access. The summit of Mauna Loa and the high elevation areas have been closed since mid-September when things started to get a little bit unrestful up on Mauna Loa. So kind of the same closures. The Mauna Loa Road is a newer closure. But otherwise, Hawaii Volcanoes is open currently.
Are there certain areas that people should go to if they want to see the glow from both of these volcanoes at the same time? Is there a place like that?
Yeah, so the photo that you can see behind me, that was taken from Kupina'ipali, which is pretty close to the Kilauea Visitor Center, about a half-mile walk from the Kilauea Visitor Center. One thing people are going to need to know is that this is the busiest time for visitation, right between Thanksgiving and New Year's, and that's even without an eruption. Now that we have 2 eruptions, we are expecting the park to be immensely busy. Our advice to visitors who want to come is come before 9 a.m. or come after 9 p.m.
All right, so Jessica, we know you're busy. We appreciate your time and kind of advising the enthusiasts who want to see this beautiful glow from nature.
All right,
Thanks.
let's get
Appreciate
more
it.
on those aviation alerts we've been talking about.
Yeah, as you heard her say right there, a lot of people are flying to Hawaii Island to catch a glimpse of this eruption. Now, the only major thing to note, Southwest Airlines has canceled their flights to and out of the Hilo Airport Monday as airline officials are continuing to monitor effects from the eruption. Now, in terms of Hawaiian Airlines, the only thing reported there has been several delays, but at last check, they are working to get things on schedule. Going back to Southwest Airlines, they are offering a waiver for customers scheduled to fly to or from or within Hawaii to change their reservations with no fees. If there's a difference in fares, I should say, they won't charge you for that. Southwest was very clear they never have change fees to begin with, so this waiver applies to anyone holding a reservation for today and tomorrow. Again, delays are reported with other airlines, so if you are flying to Hawaii Island, you're urged to check with your airline ahead of your flight. Now, the Hawaii County Civil Defense has also raised the aviation code to red. Earlier this morning, Howard Dykes explained exactly what that means.
The Hawaii Volcano Observatory raised its alert status for air traffic to red for local aviation. That cites the potential risk of gas, ash, or Pele's hair. Keep in mind, we had literally years of fog blowing over Hilo Airport and operations stayed normal. But heavy ash from an Iceland volcano just a few years back snarled traffic in the air all over Europe. Hawaiian volcanoes don't typically release that much ash, but it doesn't hurt to be alert for it. 3 air freight flights landed at Kona overnight, 1 UPS and 2 Aloha Air Cargo, according to FlightAware.com. Problems can stem from operational issues even if no one encounters ash. Some flights to the Big Island might hold for cargo that's necessary for crisis management, or there could be ground crew staffing issues if personnel are helping family members.
Our Howard Dykes, always the key aviation expert.
He sure is.
All right, so today it can only, if anything but, bring back memories of 2018, and really the comparison's not really fair. So we got an update on just that, of what's the difference between today and 2018 from the scientists in charge over at the HVO, Ken Hahn. I'll play that out for you.
You know, while the 2018 eruption was big, it went longer than we expect a Mauna Loa eruption to. The average Mauna Loa eruption is really in the range of just a couple of weeks. So we don't expect a prolonged eruption. Typically, Mauna Loa eruptions start off with their heaviest volume first, and then after a few days, it starts to calm down a little bit. The difference between this and the Lower East Rift Zone eruption is Kilauea, most of the magma moves underground. And so it intersected that sluggish, cooled, stored magma. That slowed the original eruption down because it had to push all that out of the way. Mauna Loa, what happens is we have a big fissure. If you go on our webcams, you can see it. There's a big line of fountains that are about 150, 200 feet tall, cutting across the caldera. What happens is the ground just splits open and that fissure continues to move down the flanks. So it moves on the surface. So when that eruption propagates into the rift zone, you'll actually see this line of fountains move down the rift zone. So it's not hiding what it's doing.
So let's take you back in time. So here is that older lava that we saw in 2018, the rocky stuff, the slow-moving stuff, the stuff that really clogged up that underground pipeline there in Puna, and it slowed down the eruption at first. We all know it lasted quite a long time. I wanted to play out some of what community organizer Akaika Marzo had to say about this latest development.
What's the difference between the 2018 eruption? That happened in the middle of a subdivision. and that's where people were getting infected right at the moment when it erupted. This is in a remote area where we can still prepare the people to evacuate at any given notice. So the difference between that, lava is spewing out of your driveway till we can see it from afar. So that's the difference that we see now.
And let's give you some historical context now. The 1984 lava flow lasted 22 days and came within a few miles of Hilo Town. So I have a really cool HVO map to show you now. So check this out. This really gives you context to the history. Let's look at that 1984 flow. That's here. You can see how close it came to Hilo right there. 17 of the historically recorded flows continued from vents in the volcano's rift zone and producing lava flows that covered broad areas of the lower slopes of the volcano. Just check out where the 1950 flow went. 7 flows from the southwest rift zone reached the ocean along the west coast of Hawaii Island. You can see that right there. Just 7 of them reached the coast there. And in 1855 to 1856 and 1880 to 1881, lava from the volcano's northeast rift zone did reach the ocean, but covered land now within the city limits of Hilo.
Say this, that any Mauna Loa eruption is something to be concerned with, and that's what we've been trying to communicate to the people that live in these communities, that we're on the world's largest active volcano, and the eruptions can be quite large and quite fast moving at times.
Scientists at HVO said the eruption began around 11:30 overnight at the summit caldera. USGS webcams at the summit clearly caught that action on camera. And we can also take you to space. Take a look at this social media post from NOAA. This imagery shows the heat signature and sulfur dioxide released from the volcano's eruption. Again, no mandatory evacuations, no homes or lives in danger, but there were some shelters set up as a precaution. Here's what Mayor Roth had to say about that.
I guess in different places of the island, it'd be a little bit more concerned than others. But right now, we feel that we're in a pretty good place to be right now.
Yeah. And what I would just add to that is just, make sure you have a plan. I mean, it's not quite like your regular workday that you're waking up to, right? It's 38 years since the last eruption of this volcano. It is big. It can produce very large eruptions. So we are wary of it. So, make sure you know how to, a place that your whole family can contact you outside of your home area, right? So if you do have to leave or you get split up, you have a common place to meet or get contact. Make sure you have your important papers easy to get, and that you've thought through if you did have to evacuate what you might need to do.
Obviously, very busy folks there. You heard their phones ringing several times in that interview. Just got this news release right into my hands. Our news director handed it to us. There's going to be a media briefing with Governor Ige and Major General Kenneth Hara. You'll recall him from the 2018 eruption as well. That's going to happen at 1:15. We're going to bring it to you live on your HNN digital platforms and on air as well, I do believe. Yes, we'll bring it to you on air as well. Also in attendance. And we'll also do a 2 o'clock cut-in, too, I'm being told. You can see this is very much a rapidly developing situation, even for us here in the newsroom. So next update, we're going to bring you that live news conference coming up 1:15. Have a good one, guys.